Yeah, we were here. Hey, everybody. This is a message from your sponsors, which is Irrational Passions. No bonus content this week. We're going to go right in the show, so I'm not going to do quick intros. We're going to do it. We're just going to do it. Let me make sure I got the chat up.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Cool. I see you there, Scott. I witness you. All right. What day is it? 14th? Sure. It is Saturday, September 14th, 2019, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, your host this evening, and joining me is a Scott sandwich, just the deliciousness of Scott's right now. We have Mr. Scott Guthier.
Hello.
And Mr. Scott White.
Oh, hey.
And hopefully soon we will be joined by Mr. Tony Horvath. We'll see. But no Brian Nomshin Jackson tonight. Oh, gosh.
There he is.
You speak his name and he appears.
I forgot.
How did you forget, Tony?
So you just start playing League of Legends, and then...
An hour goes by.
No, it's 4 hours has gone by.
Jesus, dude. Do you want me to restart the show, or do you want to just keep rolling?
How long into the show?
I literally just introduced Scott and Scott.
And he just said that you might join us for a second, and then you did.
And then you did.
Honestly, I think it's a good intro.
Honestly, it's almost better.
You should have just rolled with it.
So listen, I can cut around this. Welcome to Irrational Passions podcast, a podcast about video games. Scott White, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be on.
It's always a pleasure to talk to the Professor RPG himself. Self-titled, but earned in my heart. We got a good show lined up for all of you. No Brian Nobshin Jackson tonight. He's taking a nap.
In exchange, you get me.
Yeah, you get Tony Hort. That's actually not how that works, but Tony's here.
It's like equivalent exchange, you know.
Mm-hmm,
like
yeah, equal.
Equivalent. You put Nobshin into the alchemy.
You put Nobshin into.
Go off outside my house.
Tony has to go make sure his house isn't on fire right now.
Exploded.
I
don't know if you guys could hear that.
It sounded like you just bumped the microphone.
No, that was an explosion.
Maybe a car backfired.
I think it had like the popping in the that like a firework would have. You know.
When I drove home today, this is only tertiarily related, Tony, but I think it'll make sense in my head.
Okay. Did your car backfire?
No, it didn't backfire. There was just a block party happening in my neighborhood.
Okay.
And
did you go?
I didn't.
Did you
I wasn't
cop a couple
invited,
burgers?
so I don't it I'm driving I pass around a neighborhood and there's like a little nook of townhouses and that's where this was happening, and then around the corner is another separate area of townhouses. That's where I live, and it could have been a kid's birth. If it was a kid's birthday party, which is still on the table, again, I don't really know what was happening. Block party was just, it seems like the appropriate words. If it was a kid's birthday party, it was the most bomb-ass birthday party I've ever seen in my life. There were clowns, there were performers, there was a DJ.
Was there a bouncy house?
There was not a bouncy house, but it's a relatively small area, so I understand. It seems like a bouncy house was wanted, but they were unable to deliver.
I gotcha. Yeah, I hate it when I can't deliver on the bouncy castle promise, you know.
But there was a DJ, and he was saying stuff. He was talking to the crowd, hey, everybody, about to bump up something. And I'm just hearing this around the
Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, I'm hearing this around the corner, walking into my house after I get out of my car. Very confused driving past this. And I guess it's over. But it was when I got inside, I couldn't hear anything. So they were being very courteous at the very least. But sometimes weird stuff just happens in your neighborhood. That was my point, Tony.
Yeah, weird stuff.
We got a great show.
Sorry. We can get back to your regularly scheduled Irrational Passions. My bad.
That's totally fine. It's just a pleasure to have you here. We got a great show. Scott White's here. We got video games to talk about. TGS is happening. Ton of stuff. Just video,
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. So let's kick things off with a little bit of housekeeping. Scott, since you were here and since I'm bad at names, I want you to take this moment to pitch to our audience RPG University, your new podcast.
Okay. Well, basically, the gist is I host a show and I bring on each episode has a new guest.
Sold.
And we talk about an
Yes.
RPG that we both have memories and like we love, and we just basically gush about it. And we go through, we gush a bit more. We put it out there to have people send in their memories and their thoughts about a game. Then we share it, and then we give you some little tips and tricks for players that might not be or may not have played it before or interested in trying it for the first time. And we open it up with myself and the guest dubbing over or reenacting a memorable scene that the guest picks. And then we end it with a enemy of the week, enemy or monster of the week. So it's a fun time. It's just kind of it's very low key, very chill, really, really fun. And I every time I get done with an episode, I instantly have a new game I desperately want to play,
Yeah,
but don't have time for.
that none of us have time for. Yeah, it's cool. I was on the first episode. We talked about
Mm-hmm.
Tales of Vesperia. In many ways, the game that brought us together.
That's true.
Even though technically Tales of Berseria, but whatever. Yeah, I had a great time. I totally forgot about the tips and tricks part. But yeah, we had a good talk about some of the things you can do in that game specifically. Yeah, you've done
Got a lot of guests and stuff from everywhere. The next episode, which will be in 2 weeks, I actually sit down with an actual voice actor, like legit voice actor, Rivali from Breath of the Wild, and we talk about an RPG we both really like. So look forward to that one. That's very exciting. That was a lot of fun.
How was the reenacting the opening scene for that one?
You can desperately tell, or you can definitely tell the difference in experience with dubbing a character.
I'm excited to hear that. Yeah, no, you.
But no, it's a good one. I got John, Mr. Megadiv. He's going to be on an episode. I got Cameron Abbott from Handsome Phantom. He recorded an episode. Trevor Starkey. I'm going to be talking to him this week. Alex, I have our friend Mikey Phillips, Keylock. He was on the most recent episode where we talked about Bravely Default. Belinda from Pop Agenda is on going to be on an episode. Rebecca, she's doing an episode with her. Caitlin from Uppercut, all sorts. It's crazy how many people actually like RPGs and desperately would like to just talk and gush about them. So really excited, really happy about the reception so far. And yeah, give it a listen. It's on a bunch of podcast services, including Spotify and iTunes.
Mm-hmm. Second episode went up this week, right?
Yes, on Thursday.
What was it about?
Bravely Default.
Bravely Default. Was that the Keylock episode?
Yep, that was with Mikey Phillips, Keylock.
Keylock's the homie.
And yeah, Keylock's a good guy. Yeah. Really good guy.
Yes. Always in the Twitch chat, just hanging out, being supportive. So.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit. I am bad with names as is. So Professor RPG and RPG University, there is a difference. One's a column, one's a podcast. We got there. But both are great and both led by Mr. Scott White. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I wanted you to be able to pitch it. It's on podcast services soon. It will be on irrationalpatch.com.
And Scott and Tony, if either of you really have an RPG you're fond of, I'd love to have you guys on episodes as well. So
I heard of Persona 5.
Ooh, Persona 5. Interesting.
Oh, we're
Pretty
gonna
sick
do
game that you may have heard of.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do something for Persona 5, no doubt. Once it gets closer to Royal's Western localization. So.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
The new wife.
Yeah, who's the new? Is Kasumi waifu material?
Yes.
Guaranteed. I agree, Tony. I'm with you. She's
She gonna
tough.
break you of your futaba habit?
We'll see. Hey, I mean, there's gonna be new scenes with all the characters.
She's had a strong showing so far, so
yeah, she seems very cool. I would want to hang out with her.
Yeah, I'll do anything to get Alex away from sleeping with his sisters.
You got to stop with this. I'm excited to see if in the future you and Nabishin make the Mass Effect conversation happen. I wanna believe.
We've talked and he's maybe on a Mass Effect episode.
Okay. Excellent.
I've actually already talked.
Oh, maybe it's already happened.
It has not already happened. I can guarantee that. But he has agreed and is cool with being on an episode.
He's contractually obligated to be on an episode now.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That sounds really official.
Yes, I agree.
Super official.
Cool. I'm looking forward to more Professor RPG in the future then.
RPG University?
Yes. To continue my trend of not knowing whatever is happening around me and not being able to say a name. But other little bits of housekeeping. If you go to irrationalpassion.com, there's a lot of stuff up there. A lot of stuff from last week that you might have missed that you should still look, read, experience, view, witness, consume. A couple of things that happened this week. George Cruz, Mr. I like to talk about video games himself, sat down and talked to Blessing Adeoye from OK Beast about dangerous driving. They had a review discussion about it. And he sat down and talked to Ian Purcell of OK Beast also to talk about telling lies. Both review discussions are up on IP Presents. Both are up on irrationalpassion.com. Go listen to them. He talked about the telling lies discussion a little bit last week, so you can hear him talk about that in that conversation. But a lot of good conversations. Those are the two main bits that went up. But we did a lot of streams this week. Raised some money for To Write Love on Her Arms. It's a great charity for World Suicide Prevention. Had a great time. I think all of us got a time in the saddle. Everybody but Jess and Jared, I think. But if you missed any of those, they should. The big one is going to be archived, and I think all the little ones are going to be archived on YouTube.com/Rational Passions. That's it for housekeeping. Let's talk about video games. If you guys are into these things called video juegos.
I dabble.
Just Tony, it has been a minute past.
Yeah, it was more just like, every person is playing, so I might as well see what happens. And it doesn't even seem like everyone's playing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems like there are like 2 people still playing.
I think there's a couple more than that.
I mean, like of my group.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
like Scott and Kaza, and that's it.
To be fair, like that opening week, the opening salvo, where like literally everyone was playing, was really cool. It was cool because it felt like when WoW launched the first time again.
From the second I launched the game for the first time until the second I was never in a crowded area, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting.
Like 3 days removed or whatever from the launch, I was just like slightly below the leveling curve, so wherever I was, no one was. So it felt empty as fuck. But
you're also not playing at prime time.
That's true. And we weren't on the super popular servers either. But anyway, hey, more power to you if you like classic WoW. Other than that, the new Path of Exile League began.
Oh shit!
So I'm playing that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Path of Exile, great fucking video game.
Yes, it is.
I love the turn that you've taken on Path of Exile. The first time it was ever mentioned by you on this show, you were not a fan, and now you've come to love it.
Yeah, I don't know. At the time, like that was still kind of during like the end of the heyday for Diablo, where like it still had people coming back for seasons, and they were still doing, making balance changes per season and stuff like that. Diablo, like they don't do that anymore. Like they have this new system where they introduce a mechanic for each league or for each season.
Sounds a lot like Path of Exile.
No, it's not. No, but it's different. It's not like the mechanic that they give you. For example, if you know what the Ring of Royal Grandeur was, the first season that they did this, they just gave every character, you have the effect of Ring of Royal Grandeur. So every character gets an extra slot for another legendary item, or it's able to use 2 sets instead of just 1 because they don't have to use that ring slot to get this effect. The problem is, since then, all of their ideas have been uninspired, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, it's like this one, like there's a set of rings that you can get that encourages non-set play. So it's like for each ancient non-set item that's like legendary that you have, you get a buff to your damage. So you trade away your set bonus to have all these ancient legendaries and still get damage because you have this ring set. So basically, it's like the season where I hope you get a lot of ancient items and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, I don't know. And then they had another one for this season that was just kind of bad. And it's like, how many people are working on your game anymore that the entire time between seasons, that's all you could come up with,
Got him.
And they're not making balance changes or anything anymore. So it just kind of got. In the meantime, Path of Exile comes out with leagues every 3 months consistently, and leagues come with big balance changes. And every balance, it also comes with an extra like new league mechanic to do, and you get to reprogress through all the content and stuff like that. And because of the way Path of Exile is built, every league you can play something completely different. Any skill in the game, you can just take that and be like, I'm going to make this super powerful, and then do it. So, like my first league, I played Stormbrand, which is like you make a bunch of little things that attach to enemies and then bounce around and kill them. Second league, I played, Contagion Essence Drain, which is you put 2 dots that on enemies that spread violently to everything around them and kill the entire screen. This game, I'm playing like a melee hybrid build, Frostblades, where I like stab someone in melee range, and then like these Frostblades fork through their corpse and go out in a billion directions behind them in like a cone and do tons of damage to everything behind them. And it's just like you jump around really fast and just blow everything up in a cone. It's pretty fucking cool.
It sounds pretty fucking cool.
So it's fun. Yeah, I don't have as much time to play it and as I did for the previous league, so I haven't been going as hard. But I've always liked games like that. Sometimes you just get the urge to go in and kill a bunch of shit.
Yeah, that's like anytime you can just kill mobs, I think is there's something just uniquely satisfying to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've recently made some upgrades to my battle station, as it were, that make Path of Exile and its notorious many third-party things that you need to use to play efficiently a joy to use. But now instead of just one big monitor, now I have 3.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
So
multi-monitors are so nice to have.
I know.
Yeah, they're having this really, really nice on a 27-inch Acer monitor on Amazon. So I went into Best Buy and had them price match it. And
nice.
I was like, you know what? I could do with another one of those.
Let's do 2 just for me.
Yeah. So I went back
1080?
I went back
1080p?
like 2 days. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like one primary 4K or no?
So I'm still using the Vizio.
Oh, okay.
As my primary screen, and what I think I want to do is my original idea, and this is not going to work because I don't have was to get like a 32 or 34-inch ultra wide screen curved monitor for the middle, and then have one of these monitors flanking it on either side. But I figured out there are 2 problems with that. First, I don't have enough space, vertically or horizontally rather, on my desk to fit that much screen.
Yeah, it's a lot of screen.
Yeah, you need like an 8-foot desk for that.
Yes.
And I have a 6-foot desk, so it's not going to work. And 2, I would need to move my neck so far to look from one side all the way to the other side that it just wouldn't, like, there's no point in having all that screen.
It's like when Joseph Fate visited me in the meat space, and he's like, your TV's up too high. I don't want to crane my neck like that.
I don't want to look at that.
Yeah. It's too much work.
So I think what I might do is a while from now, because I'm happy with this the way it is. But when I go to upgrade again, I think I'll just get like a really nice monitor for the middle screen and have that be the main one.
And then 2 ultra wide curved monitors are the side ones. And then it fully wraps around you.
There's other shit I need to do before I can spend money like that. Like I need to get a better audio.
Like a microphone.
Yeah, I need to buy a microphone. I need to buy all that shit. And mic activator and interface and blah blah blah. But here's the thing, right? Like if I can buy monitors on sale for 25% off, a $300 monitor, that seems pretty good.
Yeah, that is not bad.
And that's instead of like spending like $1,000 on a mic setup.
Or like getting a different mic setup that's like not as expensive.
Why? Okay, look, no half measures.
Fair enough. You do you, boo boo. Have you played anything outside of this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if there's been anything else, but I think it's really just been mostly that. Like it's I come home and I play League of Legends or I play Path, and then if someone wants to play League, I play League with them, or I just kind of do my thing. I'm still, AFK leveling on BDO, but that's
Jesus.
same as I say. It sits in the tray on my computer.
Do you ever check on it? See what's going
on?
on?
Yeah, I have to, because you gotta buy the shit that lets you AFK level. You buy it an hour at a time. Well, you buy books in fractions of 1, 5, and 10 hours, and you stack them up. So I'll buy 8 books and stack 80 hours on my character, and then just every morning before I go to work at 2 in the morning, I'll pull it up and be like, did I disconnect? No? All right, cool. Put it back in the tray.
I downloaded Black Desert to my Xbox, and I think I'm just going to do a stream of just me making characters in the character creator.
I was going to say, once you get into the game, you're going to be like...
I'm going to be like, hard out. Okay, this is
what I want. You're going to look at the map, and you're going to find out that, there's nothing on it, and then you look at the map when it's revealed and how much shit is on it. And
another game with a really good character creator, Code Vein.
Yes! Spent a lot of time in the Code Vein character
moly.
Creator this week.
So good.
Weirdly very good. And I was bummed because the game doesn't seem that great. Alright. Scotty G.
That's it for me, man.
WoW Classic, you told me you've still been playing.
Yep.
With Tony the Hater here, do you have...
Well, no, not with him.
No, it's been over a week since I stopped playing.
No, I mean with him here. Do you want to protect yourself from his scorn, or I don't know if you have anything to add to what you've been playing with WoW?
Not too much.
Mm-hmm.
I got into the more frequently PvP zones.
Okay.
And so because I've had to backtrack because I've been playing with both my brother and the other group so much, I'm overgeared.
So you're just wrecking fools?
Yeah, I think I just went up to a warlock who's supposed to have a decent edge on a warrior. And I think I two-shot him. I crit once. I popped then I popped a skill, which also crit, and then he died. And we were, I think, 1 level apart.
Nice.
He was 1 level lower than me.
So you've been putting in work.
Okay.
I get it. The thing
I wasn't expecting to do that much damage to him.
That's a good feeling, though. You're like, this is my town. The town ain't big enough for the two of us, but you need to leave, not me.
Yep.
I like it. Cool. Is it at this point because of that, or are you just having a kind of chill time going through it, or is there still
kind of, sort of? So, especially where I'm at, which is sub 40, there's always going to be somebody who has the skull icon, which means they're 10 levels higher than you, and you can't hit them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it. There's a mechanic in the game called skills for melee.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a 2-handed axe skill, and if it's 20 below, which each level is 5, there's a high chance for you to miss or do a glancing blow, which does 80% reduced damage.
Damn.
So when someone's 10 levels higher, you don't hit them.
Yeah, see, this is the thing that I remember about World of Warcraft when I over a decade ago, running from enemies and them still hitting you even though they're not next to you physically,
Well, that's more of an attack range thing.
Yeah,
because you're not faster than anything in the game, pretty much,
and that's just a bummer.
Most things are faster than you. So if you try to run away from something without a slow on, you have to have a big enough HP pool to pull that off, or an actual a mage's blink, or a movement ability.
Yeah,
to get away.
Yeah, that's I didn't have a mage's blink, or I'll just die actually.
Yes, that's most likely what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, anyone that steps to your family is going to get stepped on.
Well, the odd part about it is I'm playing a warrior, and until they hit 60, they're pretty weak against every class.
Jeez.
In the game.
What do they get at 60?
The only reason, I forget what it is exactly.
Fair.
But I think you're missing 2 skills. It's like a get out of jail free card. It is the ability to stance switch, so you have the ability to charge at something when you're both in and out of combat, which is closes the gap. And then it is a most of your stuff is based off of weapon damage. And so you are extremely gear dependent. So once you hit 60, you get access to level 60 gear.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense at least. I'm trying to think. I think I did play a warrior at some point. Is that at level 20 with the warrior? Is that when you can like dual wield?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did. I did at some point. I never got to level 20. I think I got my second character.
You easily played the class that has the worst leveling.
Yeah. I think
they're super gear dependent, and then they're super gear dependent, and then for leveling it's hard because you can't fight anything that's your level and then just move on to the next thing. You have to stop.
Yeah. I think I found that out because you told me too. Like years ago.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's simply because you're rage dependent, which if you building rage between fights could make it go a lot faster. But you can't do that without the gear.
Yeah.
And
it's all coming back.
General, yeah. With other things, it's you have the level, so long as you have the level and you buy the skills for your level, you're a good match for other things at that level.
Okay.
And there's some extra mechanics that they throw in to make your class slightly unique in how they do it.
Yeah.
For example, so long as there's not a ranged mob in the group of enemies you're fighting, most mages can AoE grind. They take 10 to 12 enemies at a time. Any more than that, and generally you're just dealing with something that's too far spread out, and just drop all of them in the same amount of time it takes to do one.
Okay.
So instead of bouncing from zone to zone, doing quest to quest, once they get the ability to do that, they stick in one area for a couple levels, and they're the second fastest class level, because hunters would be the first.
I gotta play mage, clearly. I played a hunter the first time, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah, hunter's super
my
weird.
first character was a hunter too.
Yeah.
Hunter makes it look like it's a melee class.
Dude, I have a hunter on the vanilla servers, like the regular one, that still has a melee weapon equipped, and which was a big deal before this the most recent expansion, because it was not impossible to equip a melee weapon until this most recent expansion. And also has a quiver with bow and with arrows in it, and on his bag slots, which are items that you can't get anymore. Because the entire ammunition mechanic is gone, and quiver is his bags are gone, and like I said, hunters could not equip melee weapons until this most recent expansion, when they gave melee weapons back to one of the hunter specializations. So it was super weird shit. Like my hunter just has stuff that in slots that can't be there.
You can't have
it doesn't work.
Now, the last time I logged into WoW, and keep in mind, my WoW account I shared with my older brother Brady, so I think you could have 10 things, 10 characters maybe.
I think so. Yeah, I think they've increased it.
Yeah, at the time
so you could have one of every class or whatever.
I remember I logged out, and I logged in 2 years later. So 2 years after Burning Crusade, be what 07, 08 maybe. And my character was naked, and all their items had been taken.
Nice.
So it's
your brother was like, "Yoink! I need this."
Or somebody had hacked that Blizzard account.
Whatever, dude. They took your 5 silver. Good on.
Yeah, my level 12 hunter or whatever. My level 12 dwarf hunter got so dunked on.
How many? I have that, and then I have my level 60 warrior from Classic that hasn't been touched since like actual classic.
Since the olden days.
Like since Burning Crusade came out until now, he's never been logged into. So
damn.
Just sitting there with like his fucking best in slot gear from classic, just chill. Or whatever, what I thought best in slot was because I was fucking 12 or whatever.
Yeah. Now, Scott White,
Yes.
I know we mentioned briefly your immense backlog, as you know, shared, all of us, always backing the log. Did you have any temptation, or did you have any of that feeling? I don't know if you ever played WoW.
I played WoW back in the day.
When Classic came out and everyone was playing it, did you have that like I could play? No. Did you and WoW have like a falling out?
No, it was for me. I got into it like right before Burning Crusade came out because some of my friends had started getting into WoW Train by that point, and I was like, "Yeah, let's play it. It'll be great." And I would play it, but with MMOs, I would usually really start losing interest in the grind of it around level between like 20 and 25. Especially when my friends who were much more into it would like power level and be exponentially higher than me, and I'd have like none of my friends to play with, because that's when I'll really play an MMO, is when my friends and I will play together.
You see, this is the same sort of problem that Alex had.
Yes, this is exactly what happened to me.
Sort of thing that the group of friends we had a different group of friends that they were playing with them, and they did the same thing. What I tell everybody this is, you have a bad group of friends. Like, they're not good.
They're not good.
Like the entire time where you go and you get somebody into a game like this, like part of the initial agreement is, hey, listen, if I start to fall behind, will you come back and help me?
Yeah. Or if I fall behind, we fall behind together, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
That's why
when that answer is no,
yeah,
then you just don't get into it.
You just don't trust those people anymore.
But what was like my first? It wasn't my first, because I did play some Final Fantasy 11 on PS2. I got the giant hard drive, everything like that. I did play a little bit. Back when it was like super hardcore, and you'd like would D-level if you died, and it would take hours to find a party, and then someone would obviously have to leave and all that jazz. But I lived through those days. I don't have enough of an emotional or nostalgic connection to WoW Classic to want to go back and play it. Plus, like you said, I have such a backlog. I still need to catch up with Final Fantasy 14, which I think is a fantastic MMO. Like, I really like Final Fantasy 14. But even then, it's like a lot of my friends that did play it, like when we were going through Heaven's Ward and into whatever, I can't remember what the last expansion was called. Things like that, like they've sort of dropped off of it as well. So Stormblood, that was it.
Okay. Justin Graffius somewhere is very proud. Do you know about my Final Fantasy 14 arrangement that I've made?
No.
So I promised, or I'm making Justin, who you know, Justin Graffius, friend of the show, the Sigma Omega himself. I'm making him play through all the Dark Souls games. And to be fair, it's not like I'm forcing him. This was his idea, because he was like, I bought Bloodborne. I can't play Bloodborne by myself. Will you play it with me? I played it with him. Great time. He's like, I like these kinds of games now. Can we play Dark Souls? And I was like, okay. Do you want to play the Dark Souls game? He's like, do you want to play Final Fantasy 14? I was like, here's the deal. If we play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 through together, I will play Final Fantasy 14, which I've never played an MMO since WoW. I've like dabbled very, very minimally. And that's a nice thing, because like he's played and finished that game, right? Like he still plays it every week or whatever. But this would be like a dedicated character for me and him. And now we've got Scott Guthier and Mr. Tony over here on the board. So that'd be a group. Maybe we can loop you in as well. But I don't know if you want to make a new character. I don't know how big a group can be in that game.
I don't know.
It's probably the standard 5.
Okay. Then we could use a 5th.
It'd be a problem if it was 4, but some games do have that limitation of 4.
Yeah, I'm excited that, because I mean, everything I've heard about 14 makes it seem like maybe the one that would click the most with me. But we'll see. Almost through Dark Souls 2, so I'll keep you updated, Scott. Anything else, Scott Guthier?
No.
Okay. No. Cool. I played some video games. Scott White, you played some video games.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through mine pretty quick. We'll save you for last, Scott. I started Gears 5, and I just want to say that I've not played enough of Gears 5 to have any kind of informed opinion about it. I played the first chapter with Mr. Mike Burgess. And we did that live on Wednesday, which was fun. It was cool, like little opening. Where it started was kind of different than where I expected it to. I will hopefully, maybe by next week, we'll finish Gears 5 or at least have played a significant amount of it. So I can talk about it. We didn't want to play too much, partly because we want to still see if we can loop you in. Scott White, even though Borderlands is out now, so I don't know.
I'd be happy to jump over to
that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I said it before the show, but I heard Borderlands had a bit of a rocky start.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it.
What he said made it look like a trash fire start.
Yeah, the thing you said before we started.
Trash fire. I wouldn't, at least in what I've had issues with, it is not a trash fire.
Okay.
Just Rocky?
Just Rocky?
No.
Hey,
glitch-wise, I haven't. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, Gears 5. Just play the first of it. It's the things that they change are very interesting. Like the way it shoots, right? It feels a little bit different. It feels a little bit looser, a little bit faster. I'd have to put more time with it, but I remember when I played the beta, the multiplayer beta, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But when I was playing it in again, getting a little bit more time with it in campaign, I liked what I played a bit more. It felt a little bit better, but it's too early to say. But I just want to say Gears 5 on the horizon. We will talk about it. I think Nobishin has been playing Gears 5 as well, and he's been really into it. So we'll hopefully next week have a full report. But I can say this about Gears 5. Looks stellar. I was blown away by how that game looks. Honestly, I'm talking like Naughty Dog levels of looking good, and that is a high bar. And I also, so this week, and it sounds like in the relatively recent past, Scott White, you might have dabbled with this. I played the Code Vein trial.
I got into the closed alpha.
Okay, got it. They put out a trial demo. Did you hear about this?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't. It just seemed like it was on the Xbox store one day. Downloaded it because it's okay, I've probably given up on this game. But I want to, if there's a free thing where I can try it and kind of see what this has come together as, I'm curious. I'll try it out. And that had me go through basically the first boss. I don't know how that compares to the alpha.
Yeah, about the same.
Okay. And it, in the trial at least, they you go to the hub area, I guess, after the fact. And then after you beat the boss, or after you basically, it's a really weirdly paced trial because you go through the opening of the game. The opening of the story kind of meet the characters. It's not, Code Vein has some problems just around that, just in general, I would say. You go through that first area, which is just a couple of sections long, fight the first boss, go to the hub area, and the hub area is the guy there is okay, you can talk to this person to get weapons, and this person to get items, and this person to upgrade your stuff. And the game has you do all that, and then it's okay, come talk to me when you're ready to move on, and you go talk to him, and that's when the trial ends. So it's after you do all this kind of meaningless prep work. But after you beat the trial, you can kind of go back into, I think it seemed like it was a harder version of the area that you'd play through, or you could just hang out and find secrets in that opening area. So seeing that Code Vein has kind of a hub space, and what I guess story of that game is, which is very unclear. I don't really know. Everyone's a vampire, I guess. And you can just be lost if you don't wear a gas mask. Again, not very clear what's happening in Code Vein, but it was seeing it like the full kind of breadth of what they were doing. It's very much like just anime Dark Souls. And I know that sounds reductive, but like I mean it almost in a reductive way. Like it seems like they've really tried to kind of one-to-one apply a lot of things that Dark Souls has done to this game, even down to the way the hub area works. And I think the unique things about Code Vein, like you have like different classes that you can switch between freely. In each class,
that stuff was kind of interesting. How they handled that,
and it like again, that was the thing when I played it like 2 years ago at some event, maybe at PAX East or West, one of the two. I don't know. It didn't really have that, and it seems like they've delayed this game like a lot. So maybe they went back to the drawing board and tried to add something new and original mechanically. And the skills are like essentially they're like classes that you switch between freely, and you can pour your souls, your like a general XP into like upgrading or acquiring skills for each sub like class. But it also seems like you can use some of those skills when you're using other classes. So maybe you're just getting the skills from each of those classes, but then it's like, well, why would I want to? Like, what is the class I want to have equipped all the time? And that essentially just determines which weapons you can use. Like, I have the Berserker equipped, which is like mostly strength focused. So now I can use this two-handed hammer that's very strong. And maybe there is like another strength class that you get later on that has even higher strength scaling, and also just has high strength. So you can use that weapon and it's also more effective. But you don't level up the classes; you just level up in general. So it's odd. Like the systems don't necessarily make sense, or at least through that trial, and that's not typically a good sign. It seems like they were trying to kind of have that same Soulsian ambiguity to everything, but it wasn't working because the things that they were trying to do are more complicated. And I appreciate
and more streamlined.
Yeah, or like streamline in that you don't level up stats, you just level up. And it's like, by leveling up, do all of my classes that I have get better? Or do I get better? Like, I didn't understand like the effect of what I was doing. Or the kind of trade-off for having this versus that equipped or that versus this. There was just a lot of things that weren't clear. But, like, what I like about Code Vein is it has kind of a more of a focus on party members, right? Like in very JRPG fashion, you typically have somebody who's like with you all the time, and I like that. Like a character that talks and is like a character that like when you go back to the hub world, like you can have conversations with and learn more about, and that character probably has like a story that's going to get fleshed out throughout the game. So I like that, and I like the idea of the classes. It was just it's weird. At this point, I think Namco knows that game's maybe not going to do great, and it seems like they're just kind of sending it off to die, and that's a bummer. There's been like essentially no promotional material for that game at all.
Yeah, they really haven't.
It's coming out on the 27th, and I haven't seen previews. I haven't seen anything about this. Like there is just no one talking about this game, and Namco is not giving anyone a reason to. And the game itself seems like it's going to have a lot of problems, or at the very least feel like really derivative and just kind of like uninspired. And that's a bummer. I was hoping that they would take that time to make this into something more unique and more interesting. And when they like showed Code Vein for the first time, I thought it was going to be kind of like you're exploring this world and uncovering this mystery. And it like when you play it, like it really just doesn't seem like that. I think maybe that's what you'll end up doing, but in the moment, it just doesn't feel that. It doesn't feel like you're on a grandiose adventure, or even that you're kind of freely exploring. You're just walking through drab environments that I don't have any context for why they are the way they are, you know. Not in the fun Dark Souls way of like, I can't wait to find out what Sen's Funhouse is all about, Sen's Fortress is all about. But more in the, I'm in some city, I guess. Like, you know, I don't know if this is Earth. I don't know if this is post-apocalypse. I'm just in a city, and everybody's a vampire, and I gotta kill these zombie dudes. So, I don't know. It seems weird. I don't know if the alpha gave you kind of the same impression, Scott, but...
Yeah, I did. It didn't stick with me too long. It was just like, okay, I kind of see what they're doing, but it's like I was most blown away by how in depth and crazy you could do with the character creator.
Yeah, the character creator is stellar, honestly.
Really, really good.
If you want to make an anime character, there's a very good anime character creator in that game.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, and when I say like anime Dark Souls, like it has the aesthetic of like say a Tales game, very similar looking style to like Tales of Xillia, I would say like that kind of PS3 era Tales game, and you know it is like it plays like a Dark Souls, you know, that kind of game. Click R3 to lock on. You have a stamina bar that you have to manage. You have a heavy attack and a light attack. Different weapons do different things. You have a parry, etc., etc. And it has that kind of slow methodicalness that a Dark Souls would have. But I played it, you know, I wanted to talk about it because no one is talking about Code Vein, and I'd rather have said something, especially if it was a game that was on my radar at some point that we had talked about on the show before. But playing this trial and seeing kind of nobody, even the publisher, talking about this game, just tells me that this will come and go, and everyone will forget about it, especially in a month like September. Like, you got to make a big splash, I think, and I just don't
right
think it will.
Before the big fall season, and even September's been a huge month, so...
Yeah, September's just been stacked. But that's Code Vein. I bought Astral Chain, and I played some Astral Chain. I think I played through the first chapter? Man... Astral Chain is a weird video game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is like I'm into it though. Like I like what it's going for. I just love that. I'm trying to think of what the closest comparison I can think of is. Kind of, this is gonna be like a weird, like comparison, I guess, but like Live Die Repeat, which I don't remember. Edge of Tomorrow, I guess, is that the actual name of that movie? But it kind of reminds me of that in that I think you go into it you go into the story and they kind of set up the story and they set it up as one thing and then like everything changes very quickly, which I kind of like. But it's just very exaggerated. It's very anime, you know.
Oh yes,
which
super anime.
To be fair, like Platinum's bread and butter, but
they do it well.
They do it very well. They do it well. It's like absurd in the Pacific Rim kind of way. Like those are the two, like Edge of Tomorrow and Pacific Rim are weirdly enough the two kind of narrative references. Like, I don't think it's a spoiler to talk about that first chapter, right? Like, you're a cop, then you find out like, hey man, you are able to you're like
the right mojo juice.
You are a candidate for like being able to use these special weapons called legions, which are like, hey, we just captured the monsters.
They are literally slaves.
Yeah, via an astral chain, which is great. I will say, like, I love the title and the way it kind of hooks into it. It's very movie like, I think. I
got a very Yu-Gi-Oh vibe whenever they bring out their
little destructo disc, yeah.
And I just want to be like, I play Celtic Guardian and attack.
Yeah, they have like this stock animation that they do where they like throw it against their left arm, and so there are like 5 people in the world, I guess, that can use the legions and use the Legatus, the device that can do it. And there's one scene, the dual disc. There's one scene where you see all 5 of them next to each other, and they just all do the same animation to equip the thing, and it is kind of rad. But
it is.
You find out that you're a candidate for this thing. You're one of few people that can use the legions, and they're like, hey, man, we're fighting against the chimeras. They're coming through these rifts in the world. They basically have taken over the rest of the world, and we're on this last island of human salvation, right? What we finally have this weapon to fight back. We're fighting back. It's going well. We never go over to their spooky spirit side. Just don't do that. And then in the first chapter, all hell breaks loose. Big monster shows up, kills a bunch of people, and then grabs you and brings you over to the spooky spirit side. It's like, this is already going super bad. And everything that could go wrong does go wrong. And I like that. Again, they start with a lot of momentum. I don't know where it goes from here. It could be all downhill from here. We'll see. But, basically everyone loses. Everyone loses their legions. The only weapon that we had is gone, except for you. And you've got it, and we have to go from there. So like this elite squad is suddenly like that you have been brought into, and you show up and you're like, these guys are badass. It's 3 dudes and they're all super cool. I forget all their
chick.
There's a chick. 3 people, you're right. They're all rad. The lady has like a dog Logatus legion thing, and it's very cool. The captain has like a big sword Legatus. And it's like, all right, these people seem like they know what they're doing, and then they're just all fucked just immediately. And it's again like kind of ripping the rug out from underneath of you right at the beginning when you're still kind of figuring out what's going on. I kind of like that. I thought that was fun. So that's how the game starts, and that's pretty much where I ended, is at the end of that mission. And I put it down. I'm like, all right, I'll come back to this after I finish some other stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Have you played more than that, Scott White?
I am pretty much right where you are. I think I've done, because there's some like little side stuff that you have to do before you get sent off onto your next mission.
Okay.
And I've done that side little filler stuff, tutorial stuff after the first chapter, and then I can just now go to the second main fight stuff area. So I'm pretty much right where you're at.
Yeah, I don't know if it like opens up or anything. It seems pretty linear, honestly, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. But it's cool. It's that kind of really strong opening, I think, is what that game needed to do. And we'll get to it later in news. But hearing like this game sold really well is cool. So as far as like, again, new IP from Platinum, like I came in having not necessarily jived with Nier Automata. But liking Wonderful 101, liking the ideas there, obviously liking Clover Studios' stuff. So I'm here with an open mind at the very least. And Kamiya is directing this, I think.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of style. But yeah, I'm excited to play more. It just it opens well. I think Austin Walker's review, which I read a little bit of, I didn't read all of it, is very good. His main complaint of the game is that it's a character action game without like a central character. It's like a creative character that you're playing as, and you definitely get that. Like your character doesn't talk at all. You play essentially either the male brother or the female sister of this duo, and the other character is also
twins,
there.
Yeah.
So you had the other person, and whoever the other person is essentially does all the talking for you, and it's weird. It's awkward. So like knowing that a lot of the focus is on you being the hero, and also knowing that you don't really have a lot of agency, like as a character, in the story is weird, but we'll see how it goes. I been playing a little bit of Zelda, on the side. Link to the Past, still playing on the SNES games on Switch, which is great. Not a lot to say. Link to the Past, great game. You never played it? Great game. I playing that made me want to play, and also the Link's Awakening hype that is building ferociously in me now.
So good.
Yeah, I've already pre-purchased it, got it downloaded, I'm ready to go. But I booted up Oracle of Seasons, which is I think a little bit more of a 1-to-1 with like a Link's Awakening. Then Links to the Past.
Was Seasons the one that focused more on combat or more on like puzzles?
Seasons is combat, Ages is puzzles.
Okay.
Seasons is just, it was the first of that group that I have played, and I think I like Ages more, so I like to do that as, like, if I beat Seasons, I'll do the code and do the linked version of Ages, because I feel like you get more out of it that way. And I love Oracle of Ages. But man, I like going back to this game. I'm on the 8th dungeon, very short, which is kind of nice, honestly. Just to be able to blow through a thing, and also like I know that game very well. It's amazed me how much, like, I know exactly the layout of this dungeon. Okay, let's do this, and this, and we're done. But I played those games over and over again. Sitting down and like revisiting them for the first time in a very long time. I guess since they came to 3DS for the first time. Man, those are two really special games. Seasons especially, like, just hold such a place in my heart. Like, thinking about that game and like where I was at when I played it, like, man, depending on the day, the like Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons I could argue are the best Zelda games, or my favorite at least. And like I think that's just how much love I have for those two games. And it was nice going back to them just to kind of revisit that feeling and the affection that I have for them, because I think they get forgotten in the conversation a lot. But just Seasons is just a delightful game. It's got delightful characters, incredible art, great music. The dungeons are super cool. They're not like as memorable, I think, as the modern Zelda dungeons, because the modern Zelda dungeons have a lot more personality, and these are a little bit more. They're not like personality driven. They all kind of look the same as one another. But there's just a lot there to love, and there's a lot there that's really great. And replaying that game has just reminded me how special it is. The only other thing I've been playing is Control, which I know you've been playing as well, Scott. I finished Control.
Same.
2 days ago. That's a great game.
Yes.
Now I'll say this. The combat's too hard. And I died more than I care to admit. And, I don't know what it is. I was frustrated many times in that game, but it wasn't like a boiling over frustrated. I definitely felt like most of the times where I had trouble were situations where I could play better, but they just throw a lot at you. It is very difficult. And I think,
what did you specialize?
Like, what did I upgrade first?
Yeah.
I definitely upgraded the telekinetic throw first.
Oh yeah.
I think the mistake I made was not upgrading the shield until like basically after I'd finished the game. And that was a bummer. I could have used that in a lot of spaces, but also not upgrading your maximum energy till the end of the game, and not having that energy to spare hurts you for sure, especially when you've got a lot of tough enemies that you want to be throwing things at and protecting yourself from.
I just kept chucking things. Yeah, I maxed out energy and I maxed out throwing. Like, first off, like, those were I very rarely ever used the shield, actually.
Yeah, I ended up having to do it for a couple of things that were were driving me nuts. Honestly, the thing I had the most trouble with was like a boss fight that's like optional after you beat the game. I don't know if you did that.
I haven't done much of the post game stuff or post main story stuff.
Yeah, but like for the reverence to other Remedy properties alone, Control like won me over. And what they do, like Remedy has essentially made the perfect game for themselves because they like making weird stuff, and all Control is like
weird stuff.
Weird stuff. It's them trying to define what is weird, like essentially put everything in a box. And it's just like, for me, it's incredible. I love Remedy games, but I think they get hurt the most with how they play, especially Quantum Break. But I still like Quantum Break, and I think Quantum Break's, honestly, the story is in a worse spot than its gameplay. But like, Control is a great story. It has like I think Jessie is like such a great character that like you really go on a trip with, and she's like so different than I think you would first expect her to be. Like as you get to know her, she comes off differently than a lot of the assumptions I made about her early on. And I liked that. I liked being surprised by her and the things that she wanted. And also just as far as like weird fourth wall-y things that Control could do, it just does some great stuff. I would say like my biggest thing, even like the frustrations aside, I think a lot of that was like, hey, I could play better. And I'm willing to take the hit for a lot of it. My biggest main complaint, and I'm not super upset about it, is just that it ends pretty abruptly. I think like it just kind of wraps itself up a little quick. Like it's coming. You're in like the last part. It's just like okay, like I kind of wanted more people like talking and like more of a conversation about how this is going to wrap up. But even still, I really enjoyed it. I love the through line of the story. I love where they leave it off. They've announced what the next expansions are going to be, and they're about one thing from Control that I'm really excited to see more of, which is the Foundation, which only you will understand.
Oldest house stuff.
Scott. And then the other thing is Alan Wake related, so it's like, all right, all in. So yeah, it's one of my favorite games this year. It's probably like number 3 for me right now. Of the year, it would be like Sekiro, Kingdom Hearts, and Control would be my top 3, which is a great 3 games. It's hard to imagine that all 3 of them came out in this year. But yeah, I was super, super happy with Control. I loved it. I loved playing it. I loved the characters. I loved exploring that world. I think the way that they adapted a Metroid game into 3D is like a totally different thing, and they totally got it. Like they understood exactly what they had to do, and the visual language that they use in the environments and stuff is awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy with Control. I can't say enough good things about it. It's a crime that Control is not in the top 20 best-selling games of August. I know it only came out in the last week of August, but still, I'm hoping more people will hear this and go buy Control, because you should, because it's awesome. And it is worth your time. I don't know how long it took me to finish it. I feel like it was probably like 20 hours, 25 maybe. So it's meaty. It's got more in it than you would think, especially from like a Remedy game. Did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think they nailed the gunplay. I thought the gunplay was pretty good. The crafting. My biggest kind of headache was a bit of like the crafting and upgrading yourself parts. Like I like that you could equip augments and things to yourself, but I don't think it was handled the best.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I absolutely love the lore they've set up, like this Bureau of Control. I love just the strangeness and kind of the mystery behind everything. And it's probably the first game in a long time that I'm like legit really excited for its DLC roadmap.
Yeah. And also, I agree totally. Like, if Control is just like it's like the Avengers of Remedy's world, right? Like from here, I think they can, like in the future, it doesn't necessarily have to be Control 2, right? Like a sequel to this game. They've set it up so that way they can basically branch from this game into something totally different, but tie it back into this, which is what Control kind of retroactively does with Remedy's other games. But yeah, just like the lore and the world that they've built is amazing, and I love it. And I want to spend so much more. Like I want to find more collectibles and learn more about this world. I want to learn
like about Trench, like the previous director. Learn more about him. I'd love to learn more about the board and like what or who are the board. And I'm really hoping this game gets like a rogue like dungeon generator or something that you could like go and explore.
Did you
like,
see
you go
the
to a floor.
expeditions mode? I think is like.
I'm hoping that's what it is.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll probably be that.
This game so perfectly fits that idea of just like a randomly generated, random weird ass space that you can go and get gear or crafting supplies and stuff for. I think could be really fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like, and I'll say this in my opinion, because like I think Control has a cinematography flair to how it is, like weirdly enough, like how it's shot, like the character of the camera and where it is and what it's looking at and how it moves through environments and how it introduces you or foreshadows things that are coming. Like every time you end like a main story beat, you get like these ominous shots of the next areas that you're going to explore. And they're all awesome. And like for me, Control has the most style of any video game I've played this year. It is just, and it is not a style that we see a lot in video games. It is a style that I think I've seen kind of flirted with, like in movies and cinematically, but the way that they just incorporate it into this game and every part of it is like top to bottom stellar. I loved it.
Ati, I really want to know more about Ati.
I gotta know more about Ati. Again, like Remedy knows exactly how much to say about stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like we meet, like there's this kind of character with you for most of the game that
the
like
janitor of the bureau.
Well, Ati, but also like who I don't necessarily want to give away too much about them, but there's this kind of thing about Jesse that you slowly learn more and more about. And like just when you feel like you have answers in front of you, they like take it away, but they tell you enough that you don't feel like unsatisfied. Like I always felt really good about the things that they did tell me, even if I wanted to know more. And that's good. That's like a tough line to find, and I think they nailed it.
It's a fantastic starting off point, which I hope just builds in like a Control 2. Like I could see this becoming its own series and just growing, and I love that.
Totally. I just want Remedy to be successful. I want them to be able to make the weird games that they make.
Yes.
Cool. That's all I got. All right, Scott. It's all you. What you been playing?
Well, Control and Astral Chain, been playing those. Talk to that. Recently on the side and everything, one of the games I've been playing is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution for Switch that came out. Man, for as much shit as Konami can have flung at it, they know how to make like damn good digital representations of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, it is a good game.
Okay.
You get like thousands of cards that you unlock, like you buy starter packs in the game with the currency in the game that you just get hurled at. Like you get tons. There's no microtransactions, but it's divided in a way where, for me, I really only know the rules of like base Yu-Gi-Oh! From like way back when. So you can play through and kind of use cards from that era, but then it does a really good job introducing each season each season's new mechanics as its own thing to kind of bring you up to speed. So it doesn't expect players to know every single keyword or synchro summon, or I guess they're pendulum monsters.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about pendulum stuff.
I don't know. I haven't gotten to. I have a pendulum monster in my deck, but I just play it as a normal monster because I have no idea what pendulum monsters do or how to work them.
It probably doesn't matter.
It's just one of those games that I have a lot of fun. Just I want to play a duel or something, play against the computer or something. I haven't played online yet, but
now
it takes me back, and it's fun.
Now I have to ask: do they have that? The mechanic of like the little cubes that you put in the maze and you have to get through the maze.
No, it does not have dungeon dice monsters in it.
Dungeon dice monsters. Hear me out. That 2-episode arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the best part about Yu-Gi-Oh! This is the only.
It was pretty cool.
It was rare. I loved the idea of like the cubes unfurling into a pathway.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like that really resonated with me. Dungeon Dice Monsters, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for knowing the name of that. You just had it.
Of course. Yeah. Right
that's why you're the professor. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. If it's got pendulum cards in it, it's probably bad. I hate to break it to you.
I don't know, but like I just have it because it's like an 1800 normal monster card, and I can just summon it on the like normal, so it's like whatever. But I put together pretty saucy just warrior themed deck, and that's been doing work. But
what's the little guy, Karibo?
Yeah,
is he in your deck?
No,
that's right, because he's a shitty card. Why would anyone ever base their entire play on it? Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's move on.
They did make a GBA game, Dungeon Dice Monsters. That's correct, Justin. They did.
All right. I know what I'm ordering on Amazon tonight.
There you go. There you go. But no, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh card games on GBA, on DS. PSP had some great ones. All those. So it's been good.
Cool.
Been good. Also available on Switch and PS4, and I think PC.
Oh, cool.
Don't quote me on that one. I picked up Blasphemous. That's
tell me
fun
about
game, but
this is what I want to know the most about. Is it hard?
I haven't hit like a difficulty peak ceiling yet, but it will definitely be there.
Okay.
It's not easy. It's going to be one of those games where it eases you into a bit, but the imagery is some of the most graphically disturbing things I have ever played in a video game.
Damn.
The sprite work is fantastic. It's more just like the monsters and the things in it are more disturbing than I would say like even Dark Souls, the Soul series have. Very heavy in kind of the religious themes, like you're known as the repentant one. Like it's all these people that feel like they deserve to be hurt and harmed, and they have to kind of repent and kind of deal with it. And you wake up basically in a pit of corpses. Well, the game starts off with a cutscene of this woman bashing her chest in with like this statue of not Jesus. It's like this dude wrapped around like a tree branch or like a tree trunk. And she's just bashing her chest with like the statue, and then eventually it turns into like a thorn or like a knife, and she like stabs it through herself, and then she like is impaled leaning back, and then a light shines on her and turns her into like a statue, and that grows into a sword, and you wake up as like this corpse or like this individual in this pile of corpses with like this thorned cone head of repentance or something. And you wake up and you pull the sword from this corpse and you just go and have to repent. And it's disturbing, but it's unsettling. I would say not so much. It can be disturbing to see, but it's very unsettling to watch. But the gameplay is very tight. It's very fun. Tons of lore, like very much like a Souls game. Each item you get has like a big lore description that's tied to it. A lot of really well done spoken dialogue by a lot of NPCs you find, which I was surprised by. I wasn't expecting that. But it's positioned kind of like a Metroidvania style. You get upgrades and you find stuff. But with Soulsborne, a lot of your stuff is tied to, you get a resource when you kill an enemy, and that's if you die, you lose it. But they do some interesting things with it where it will actually impact how much of your like magic bar you gain. So until you collect it back. So it's called guilt.
Appropriate.
You lose your guilt.
Finally, I can get rid of all this guilt I have.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's very well done so far.
Do you think
I put maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours into it?
Do you think it's like easy to, or would you? This is maybe not a good thing, but do you think it's easy to like phase out the intensity of it, or does it like is it pervasive enough that you feel like you have to kind of reconcile the darkness of the game?
You have to kind of reconcile that this is going to be a very dark, religion-y game.
Mm-hmm. Does it seem like the imagery is like more Christianity focused, or?
I would say it's more Christianity, Christian or Catholicism, stuff like that. Probably more Catholicism.
Okay, interesting. Cool.
But it's like you beat a boss, and like you go up to a gaping wound that you cut into them, and you fill your bucket, like your helmet, with their blood, and then you put it back on, and then your character looks up and it's just like leaking blood.
Jesus.
From this corpse. It's intense. It is not for the squeamish. And then as you're running through environments, you'll find you'll find these just random people like dangling from a tree. Not a cross, but basically their version of like a wooden cross kind of thing. That if you attack them, that you like cut off their heads, or like you see their neck like being slit and blood dripping down. And like other characters you'll meet are, one has been kind of attached to a tree via this like iron, almost like an Iron Maiden, but with pieces missing out of it, with arrows sticking into his flesh in the parts that the Iron Maiden doesn't cover. And it's on top of this ice cliff, or like it's on the base of a mountain where it's really cold, and he's like freezing, and he wants you to get this like olive oil, or this oil from these olive trees that used to be on there, so that he can burn himself, like, and set himself on fire, like feel it burn him away or something to help him repent.
That's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. And
getting that angels and demons level of repentance right there.
It's very heavy.
Okay.
So it's something you just have to. I can easily see and understand why some people would instantly be like, "Nah, this is too much for me. It's a bit too much."
Yeah.
But from a visual standpoint, the sprite work and everything is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I watched the trailer.
It has a lot of interesting stuff to it that I'm anxious to dive in, but I really had to do it in small increments because the imagery is just even a bit too much for me. It's for like large gaming stints. So
yeah, this one you definitely got on my radar. I might check it out. I know it's like on sale still because it just came out too.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, what's this game called again?
Blasphemous. It's PS4 and Steam, I think.
And Switch.
Oh, and
I'm
Switch.
Playing on Switch.
Okay, is it running fun on Switch?
Yeah, it's running really nicely.
Okay.
I've played it both on docked and handheld, and no real problems with it. So
cool. I didn't know it was on Switch.
Yeah.
Now I'm more tempted.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to hear. I appreciate that perspective too.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things I definitely wouldn't think about. What else you got?
Recently started dabbling a bit in Daemon Ex Machina.
Came out yesterday.
Really
right?
liking it so far. I'm only about 5 or 6 missions in, but it's scratching that itch that the lack of Armored Core games from Software has left.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of reviewers have said it's like, oh, the story and everything's crazy. And it's like, in these games, I don't care about story. I'm not going into for story. I'm going into build a mech as cool as I can make it and just blow up other mechs. Like, that's what I want. And it's doing that really well. I'm looking forward to playing the co-op multiplayer online and seeing how that runs. So
yeah, how's it performing?
Really cool visual style. I haven't had any issues with the gameplay. It performs very well. I know after the initial demo, a lot of people got onto them or let them know that it wasn't performing best, but it definitely handles and performs better than those demos, and I'm having a good time. So
it's good to hear. I played the first demo, I think, and it was a little choppy, right? It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely like, all right, this is mostly 24-ish frames instead of a 30.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just like, that's my prime worry with that game. As long as it performs well, and if it plays well, I think that game can find its own success.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm enjoying it.
You know, talk about like two really cool games that Nintendo is publishing, like Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina coming out within 2 weeks of each other is like pretty cool.
Oh, I know. It's like crazy.
It's just like we always I think at least let's say like 7 years ago, I think Nintendo was definitely like associated with one kind of thing or just their games, but you definitely see them making efforts to bring up and throw in front of people like different kinds of games.
Oh yeah.
Whether they're publishing it or developing it in-house, right? Like from Splatoon onward, I think we've seen a lot of those kinds of games.
Yeah.
It was cool. It's
Completely agree. Completely agree. Played some Borderlands. I did a nice long stream of that for a charity stream Thursday night into Friday morning. Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
I don't see like I'm having an okay time with it, but I was playing with one of my friends on the stream doing co-op, and we both kind of came to the conclusion it's like we had a lot more fun playing through Borderlands 2 than we were having with Borderlands 3 so far.
What was the disconnect?
The disconnect, we find that with Borderlands 3, I think the levels are a bit too big and they're a bit too lacking in like interesting encounters. It's a lot of run to this point way over here and then run all the way back to deliver random things. And throughout your way, you'll just be thrown random enemies, like not even really interesting enemies, to soak up bullets until you beat them, and then you can get X item and then return it. And it's just not clicking as well. And the maps, while they're bigger and impressive, some of them haven't been designed really well. And I'm finding it to be more of a slug. And the enemies, the Calypso twins, are nowhere near as interesting or fun to interact with or listen to as Handsome Jack was in Borderlands 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more Borderlands, and I like the loot grind. Like I like the looting and stuff, but it's just not grabbing me like the previous game did. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm still early on. I'm probably 8 or 9 hours in at this point. I'm just like, okay. I mean, it's cool. We're on new planets. I'm only on the first new planet. The beginning slugged a bit. It could have been handled a bit faster and a bit better, but
can't nearly be as bad as the beginning of Borderlands 2. I don't know if you remember the beginning of Borderlands 2.
I would say it's worse than Borderlands. I think it's worse than the intro of Borderlands 2.
Man, I really don't like the intro of Borderlands. I've played it like 6 times because like you have to, right? There's no way around. It's like one of those things where it's like, man,
these games desperately need an option
to skip the tutorial.
Skip the tutorial.
Yeah, it's just exhausting. I'll say this, right? Like again, Borderlands is one of those weird things where like none of us have really played it like on this show, and like this show was around when Borderlands like happened.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was another one of those things like when Borderlands 2 is huge. None of us really played it except for Joe. Joe played it a bit. Maybe he finished Borderlands 2. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a host on this podcast anymore, so it's not like he's here to talk about 3. And I don't know. The thing that I learned, I think this week was just the reach of Borderlands specifically is a lot. It's a lot wider in net than I think I gave it credit for. Right, like one of my coworkers who plays some video games was telling me like, where I saw that he bought Borderlands 3. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have taken you for a person to like this game. It's like, when my brother and I moved to like the same city for the first time like in years, and we wanted to kind of stay connected to each other, we both got Borderlands 2 and played it together. So and he was telling me he got up at 1:30 in the morning this week so he could play with his brother who's in the Middle East, like, and share that, and like that's like something really special to him, and like it was a ton of fun just because it was more of Borderlands and it was a thing they hadn't done forever, and it was them getting back and playing video games together. It's like, yeah, man, I guess I could totally see it's been 7 years since Borderlands 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, let's get the old gang back together, like, and even if it is kind of more the same for those kinds of people, I think it's going to be really, really exciting and really rewarding regardless.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, Borderlands has a reach. It speaks to people. But, But like, I think like the modern video game people, like especially reviewers, just did not like Borderlands 3. It seems like. It's weird. Borderlands 3 just seems like a weird game.
It's interesting. I don't know if it sticks too close to the Borderlands formula, while there's been a lot of refinement and kind of evolution of that genre since Borderlands 2, or since Borderlands and Borderlands 2 came out.
And
originally.
the prequel.
And the prequel, which I have, but I've never played.
No one played that game. It's fine.
But yeah.
But yeah, it's just...
I'm still sticking through it. Like, I still like my character. I still like Flack, the robot with the pets. I have the pet I decided to go with was the pistol wielding monkey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, who's evolved into a shotgun wielding monkey with a pompadour. So he's pretty cool. He's called Meat Thief.
That's pretty good. Actually.
So that's cool. I like him. He's fun.
It's weird.
I'm anxious to see how it progresses, but it's a little bit of a slog right now.
It just seems crazy to me that here we are 7 years later. Borderlands 3 is finally here, and it's just kind of like Borderlands 2 again. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me that's in the interim of 7 years. It seems like they weren't thinking about like what can we do, like what can we do to pull the rug out from underneath of ourselves and make something that evolves what in a lot of ways like Gearbox started. Yeah.
The looter shooter, I think you can easily make a point for that. They started the looter shooter genre.
And so, like, they've had so much influence, and like there have been modern takes on that in hugely varied ways, from like Destiny to like the Vermintide games, right? Like very different kinds of things that you would expect. And like Destiny especially is like, wow, they like took the kind of cooperative aspect. They made it an MMO. They went all the way with it. But like it seems like Borderlands doesn't have any of that. The idea of like a raid in Borderlands, like with that style, through that lens of being kind of more humorous and less serious, or like even just like encounters with like mechanics or more superpowers that your character can use and stuff like that. I bet the skill trees are certainly better than they were in Borderlands 1, but it just doesn't seem like there's no bombshells in this game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, at least from what I've played, there hasn't been. It feels like a game from 7 years ago, just with like a new coat of paint.
It looks good though, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some performance issues, but they give you the option to prioritize graphics or performance, and I went performance, and I haven't had too much issue.
Okay.
The only real glitch I've really encountered is that the game registers my character as being at full health, even though he's been with only like a third left of life.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of annoying.
Is it still like you have to like pick up health from enemies? Like you can't heal yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, it still has the health drops.
Stupid.
Diablo 2 style.
Yeah. I don't know. I bet this game will be the best selling game of the month. I bet it will do super well. I bet a bunch of people will like it. I just, it's just a weird thing to me.
Yeah. And really, the last game that I've been playing very much on the side is Final Fantasy VI Beyond Chaos. And Beyond Chaos is like this big, crazy randomizer that changes tons of stuff with the game, like character sprites and abilities you have and all sorts of stuff.
We should have called you Professor Randomizer, because like,
dude, I've fallen in love hard with randomizers.
I didn't know this was a thing until I met you. Like, you brought it. You like blew my like when I remember when I was first editing the piece you did about randomizers like over a year ago. I was like, this sounds crazy. Like, what kind of thing is this? I was like shook to my core for a thing that's like, I'd probably heard of it like referred to differently in the past. Like, oh yeah, so like change how you get your power-ups in Super Metroid. It's like, oh cool, whatever. And it's like, no, like you're telling me about like the Link to the Past randomizer where you're like walking around as Mega Man or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. What is like Beyond Chaos being a specific kind of randomizer for 6? What does it entail?
Well, I have it set so it completely swaps out the music for new music can be from other games. So I have like soundtracks from Final Fantasy 9 in there, Final Fantasy 8, Chrono Trigger. I have like Grandia music. I have Lufia music. Just all sorts of random stuff. It swaps out character abilities. So I have one of my characters that just can for free cast media, which is the best like group hitting spell in the game, just for free. He just pops that out whenever he wants.
That's cool.
Another one of my characters, Yoshi is one of my characters. He's the king of Figaro, and he uses an auto crossbow, so that's pretty cool. I have characters from Locke, if you know, he's Robo from Chrono Trigger. Bannon is swapped with the prehistoric chick from Chrono Trigger, Isla, I think it is.
I think it might be pronounced Isla. I think you're
right. Let's see. Terra's sprite was replaced with Cosmos from Dissidia.
Like
Sephiroth
the
is in my
3D
party.
model Cosmos?
No, like a sprite rendition of the model.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, Cyan, Sephiroth is Shadow.
Nice.
Master Chief is Sabin.
Did Master Chief suplex a train?
He doesn't have the blitz ability, unfortunately, so he was not able to suplex.
Garbage.
The train.
If Master Chief couldn't suplex a train in my game, I would have just quit.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
All right. But
fair. It's really cool stuff, and all the evil armies are babies. So the enemy army is just all crawling around on all fours, wearing diapers, and they have like one little twirly thing of hair.
That's cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Very intimidating antagonist at the very least.
Yeah. Oh, incredibly.
So every sprite in the game is pretty much randomized?
Not every sprite. Like a lot of the townsfolk and things like that still remain.
Yeah, I guess it would be confusing if you change those. Yeah. You wouldn't know who to talk to or whatever to progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's fun. It keeps it interesting and unique for each run, and the randomizer scene has taken off like crazy. Like there are tournaments now for these randomizers. I only found out maybe about a month ago. There's a Metroid Prime randomizer.
Ooh. Dolphin emulation based. Okay, that could be good.
But yeah, so there's Metroid Prime, Link to the Past is a huge randomizer tournament scene. A bunch of the Final Fantasies. There's free Enterprise and Career Day for Final Fantasy 4 and 5 respectively. Basically turn the games into open world exploration RPGs. Those are very cool. I've played a couple runs of those. Yeah, they're just fun. They let me. I've played through these games normally so many times that it's just like these give me incentives because each time I load up the randomizer and throw in the game, I don't know what I'll get, and that's exciting to me.
I get that. I like Nabish and I always have this conversation of like we're like the default men, right? Like if we play Mass Effect over again, we just do everything the same because if we change, it's scary and we're too afraid. And this is my story and I'm sticking to it type thing. So it's like, I don't know if I could do that with games that I love or have played a lot, because I think when I go back to play them, and I did a whole thing about like chasing your first playthrough and trying to relive it. But like, I think that's the emotion that I like to put into it. So, although Metroid Prime randomizer, you might have got me with that one. I'd try that one at least.
Yeah. Oh, all the Metroid games I think have randomizers to them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like that's like such a good fit for that.
The Oracle games, I'm pretty sure, have randomizers associated with them.
I want you to know, I had a dream the other night that after Link's Awakening, they remade a package bundle of Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and they did the third one, Oracle of Secrets.
Ooh, nice.
Made my dreams come true.
That would be good.
That would be good.
That's what they're gonna do when they do the Switch ports of them, man.
Yeah, we can keep the dream alive.
That's what's gonna happen.
Please, God, that'd be great. Now I'm gonna ask you this: How are you a big Final Fantasy VI person?
Yes, big
Okay.
fan.
So
one of my original articles on the site was my inner conflict between buying a lava lamp or picking up Final Fantasy 3.
That's right.
I went with a lava lamp.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
the greatest mistake of your life.
No, greatest mistake of my life was choosing Lion King over Mega Man X.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. That's a rough
That
one.
was a bad mistake. That was a bad mistake.
That first Mega Man X game, I played that one. That's good. That's a good video game.
My favorite. That's my favorite game of all time.
Hell yeah. I think it's like up there for an option as well. So kindred spirits. For me, I've never been able to get into Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because I'm sure like blah blah blah, you've had to sell it or whatever before. I want to know at what point, in your opinion, if I like were to go and start Final Fantasy VI, and I would have to get to a point where it would hook me, what would that point be for you? Because it's not the furthest I've gotten is the Ghost Train, I think, which is like 6 hours in, maybe a little bit.
It depends
before then.
because you encounter the Ghost Train after a branching path where you could select different characters.
I did the one that goes to the Ghost Train first, I guess.
Okay.
If am I a lost cause? Is it just not going to happen?
No, I don't think it's a lost cause. I think it's as long if you find a character you really like and jive with, that's when it will really click.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say things really pick up when the party rejoins together again after that branching path.
Okay. Terra seems cool. I'll say.
That's when the story shifts less to we have to defeat the Empire to there's a lot more going on and shit's about to hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like after that, after you have the battle at Narsh.
Okay.
That's when the world really opens up and you realize just how crazy things are about to get. And that's when you start getting into the Espers and being able to learn magic for your characters. And each Esper can grant stat bonuses per level up. So it gives you more chance to customize characters you really like and kind of start building them out to how you want to be. If you want to be like faster characters or heavier physical damage dealers, or I want her and Terra and Celis to be magic dealers. So you want to equip Espers that give magic power boost at level up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like people always talk about like, oh, Espers are so cool. It's like the materia system. I'm like, I've never I played that game. I've never seen that like a menu that says Espers.
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't equate Espers to materia.
That's what that's the impression that I got as well. But that's what a lot of people.
Did you play Final Fantasy 9?
I've not really played. I played 9 as a child. Again, in the era of me skipping all the dialogue and not knowing what's happened.
Okay.
But
Espers in 9 are much more akin to equipment in Final Fantasy 9, where you have it equipped long enough, you'll learn skills.
Okay, kind of like Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah.
Okay, I like weapon skills.
That's basically what it is.
I like that system a lot. That's why I was so stoked when they brought it back in Berseria. So, well, no. I'm like, I've been thinking recently about giving it another shot, like a final, like, make or break. Will I get into it? Won't I? Maybe making a show out of it, like a stream show or something, so that way I have, like, some level of commitment. But I don't know. I just, like, that's, like, the big one. It's like that and just Dragon Quest as a whole. It seems like the FOMO hits me really hard with those.
Dragon Quest series is you have to be a fan of like old school turn-based RPGs. If you aren't, Dragon Quest really won't jive with you.
Yeah,
they've stuck very close to their MO and they love it. And if you love that style, then awesome, you'll love these games. If you don't, then they are not for you.
Yeah, I've always just been more into action RPGs. Yeah, obviously. So,
I don't see you suddenly liking Dragon Quest then.
I like the style of Dragon Quest.
Oh, the style is
the presentation. I like the kind of jolliness to it. Like it's a very happy-go-lucky, which a lot of modern JRPGs are not. You know, and you miss that sometimes. That kind of classicness has a kind of optimism with it that I like and I miss in video games as a whole, honestly. So I downloaded the demo for Dragon Age 11, and I like the other night I played through to basically where I got on the PS4 version, which is like right when you leave the town that you start in. And it's like, all right, well, I can play the first 7 hours of this game or whatever for free. Just give it a shot. Because if I'm at this point, if I'm gonna play any version, I should play the Switch version.
Yeah,
but I don't know. We'll see. I like Nobishin loved that game, and that, like Nobishin does not.
I love 11. I'm super excited to be able to replay it on Switch in the 16-bit mode. Like it's basically 2 whole games on a Switch card, which I'm excited for.
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
But he doesn't like JRPGs normally. Like he is more like the exception over the rule. Like he likes Persona. He likes Disgaea, and he likes Dragon Quest 11 specifically. So
he likes the big boys, the ones that can take you hundreds of hours.
It's not necessarily that as a factor, but more of like the things that can get its hooks in him, and it's definitely always character with him, and it's character with me too. But like the guy that plays the trumpet in Dragon Quest 11, he loves that dude. I mean, he loves all the characters, but he always brings up that dude. Very flamboyant one. He seems rad as heck. I want to hang out with him specifically.
He's a good character. I like
that and like Super Saiyan Trunks, the other guy that joins you, and then regular Trunks, who's you. It's just weird that like not having a name for that character. So he's just Alex, just some dude named Alex who looks like Trunks with brown hair walking around.
Super Saiyan Trunks is Eric. So, okay, I mean they don't. That's just Eric.
So a normal ass person name is fine. Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. Is that all you've been playing?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, a little bit of news to talk about. NPDs I wanted to talk about, and bets to make. So let's do that, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit. Taking us live again. The people can see us. They can hear us. Remember what you say, because I will.
Hi, people.
Hi, people. All right, let's do this. News in gaming. Just want to address the fact that last week, while editing the show, I realized that the news and gaming music didn't play for you all, and nobody said anything. And I
wasn't here.
You weren't here, Tony. You would have said something.
I'm pretty sure that we said something.
No, you guys went to make a joke, and then you guys said, he did it again, huh? And I didn't understand at the time what was happening, and I was embarrassed in edit. So, I just want to let everyone know at home, if you watch the show live, you got to experience that, and I'm sorry. So, TGS happened. Is it still happening?
I think it goes through till tomorrow.
Yeah.
But tomorrow might be today in Japan.
Ooh, true. So it's happening for a little bit longer.
It might be the last day.
I grabbed some talking points that I know, Scott White, you wanted to talk about. And a couple of things. Like, I didn't watch the Death Stranding footage. There's like 2 hours of footage of that game out there now, I guess.
I didn't either.
Because I just figured maybe that's best to just wait. At this, like, I'm all in on Death Stranding. So I might as well just
It'll
wait.
be a brain fuck regardless. I'd rather it be more of a brain fuck.
Yeah, I'd rather be more confused
blind.
in the moment, you know, as opposed to kind of expect it. But there are a couple of things that I know you wanted to talk about and are worth talking about. For example, Final Fantasy VII footage. A lot of remake footage came out. There's a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake showing off a lot of stuff. Just again, like as much new stuff as the E3 trailer had done. But like, after this trailer was when I thought, okay, I'm good. I don't need any more. I don't need to see any more. I probably will. Like, there's a demo, a full gameplay demo out.
It's the demo that's been at like E3 and at PAX, but people can record it now.
Okay. I might watch that.
In addition to I guess there was a stage show.
Yes.
This morning, and more stuff got shown off at that.
Yeah, that's where they showed like Tifa and Aerith, I believe.
And the apps battle, yeah.
Yes.
And more info on summons and how there's a classic mode that turns the game into a turn-based RPG. And...
Yeah, but not quite. It's still like they'll idle until you give them action commands, but they'll still like attack and stuff. So things are still happening, you know. But I appreciate that classic mode is there and is like an accessibility option but also just like for the people that would rather play this like the original 7 played. Hey, here's a version of it for you. Although, like, you know, they've gone so in depth to how 7 Remake plays that, like, I really love, like, the stances. I don't know if they've talked more about that, like, kind of openly. But, like, all the kind of layered mechanics that are in that game. He also showed out what the UI looks like, which is cool. Very
the
weird.
menu, yeah.
It looks kind of like Kingdom Hearts 3. Reminds me of that. Which makes sense, to be fair. No materia in that menu, so it's not final as far as I'm concerned.
Neither we didn't have equipment either.
Oh, okay, got it. So yeah, definitely not final. What'd you think, Scott? White.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah, we did that the trailer breakdown with Jess way back in E3 days, talking about everything we saw from E3, everything we heard. Yeah, I feel good, man.
It's looking so good. I'm really excited how they're introducing more, hopefully, lore and characters from Soldier. That was really cool. Tifa, or everything looks fantastic. I loved how they showed a bit of the Gold Street, Market Street, excuse me, with like the push-ups, and Tifa's there now, so that's interesting. And we saw Corneo. We saw summons for the first time, so that's very cool. It blows me away, and watching some of the gameplay footage of the demo, holy crap, this music.
Yeah, the music is honestly
so good.
Like, cause since they put the Final Fantasy soundtracks on like Spotify and Apple Music, I've been listening to the 7 soundtrack pretty frequently, and like the more and more I've sat on it, like it's at least top 5 favorite video game soundtracks of all time. But like, the soundtrack to that game is so unique and so like it so captures such a specific style of video game that 7 is. This kind of like postmodern cyberpunk style, weirdly enough. And there's just a lot of great use of synth, and just hearing how they've adapted a lot of the music into like a full orchestral score is it's so good. It like the boss music is incredible.
Hearing a lot of the reactor soundtrack, the song that plays during the reactor stuff, it is so well done. And do yourself, Alex, when you watch the gameplay or the demo gameplay, do yourself a favor and find a recording where it's very little talking and you can just listen to the music.
Cool.
So good.
That's what I did with the boss music, so I'm sure I'll be able to find something like that out there. But yeah,
super impressive.
Super impressive. You know, again, I still have the misgivings and concerns that I had in June of like, I don't know how long we're going to draw this out, but I'm definitely like very excited for what this is, and I'm excited to see how deep they go with it. Right, the last shot of the trailer is the shot of right after the plate falls. And it's like very harrowing, but it also like look from the inside of like the center of Midgar looking out. Like it puts a lot more like the way it visualizes what it's like to look out of the city is like really incredible. And like even in that moment, it seems like the visual language of like the plate is fallen and there's debris everywhere, but now finally we can see the sun. It's like this good give and take, like this good and bad. So like that alone, like thematically, has me really excited, and it has me really optimistic. Yeah, I'm excited. They showed Reno. Reno looks weird. I'm gonna be honest. The only character model that looks really off.
Really?
I feel like everyone else has been like a very faithful modernization and an adaptation of what they looked like. I feel like Reno doesn't. He looks way more exaggerated than he looked like in the original game. I always kind of imagined him as like, you know, the Turks like straight tie, straight suit, and Reno would just like have the tie kind of either off and the top button's undone, but like he's got like this kind of like all the 4 top buttons undone. His chest is like exposed. He looks way more anime than the rest of the characters, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe it'll make more sense in context, or maybe like his mannerisms will accommodate that.
Well, it seems like each of them, at least from the trailer, like has their own a bit unique style. Like Sing still appears to have that like buttoned up suit, very formal. Rude seems to have a bit more of a flashy suit, kind of not as I think he might have a black shirt in addition to the black tie and stuff. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then Reno is more of the crazy guy that can teleport now. So
yeah, of course, because video games.
Yeah.
What was the woman's name? Elena? I don't remember. Elena. Okay. Yeah, Rude has a black shirt and a black tie. Looking good, dude. Rude
looks good.
Looks good. So yeah, I'm excited to see the other Turks. Obviously, like Vincent. Like, what is Vincent gonna look like in this? I mean, Vincent, Yuffie, Red 13, Kate Sith, like all these characters that we have yet to see. Like, so excited to see what they look like in this.
Yeah. I'm gonna be curious to see if they get introduced at all in the first game, because I know Red 13 we'll see him because just story wise, but none of the others should be introduced yet.
Yeah, I have a feeling they might introduce Yuffie. Because
President Shenra mentions Wutai in the English dub.
He does. Okay, I didn't watch the English trailer. I only watched the Japanese one. Also, shout out to the way they brought President Shinra into that.
Yeah,
very
smart idea.
Very good.
Smart idea.
Just like a giant hologram of him. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm in. I was already in, but I'm more in now.
Yeah, this is going to be a game I take a couple days off of work for.
Hell yeah, I was thinking about this
Yeah,
earlier this week myself. Look forward to that spoiler cast.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind trailer.
Yeah.
The DLC still supposedly coming winter. I definitely got a more January, February, winter vibe from this trailer versus a December one. Mostly because they're still saying this winter.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just months away. Looks good. Looks like you get to play as more characters. A lot more characters. They in the PR email they sent out for it, they talked about like revisiting a new location in the game, which I'm still putting all my money on is Radiant Garden, which wasn't in the main game.
I hope so.
But it definitely seems like they're adding some of the kind of final mixy elements to the game, of like either maybe being able to switch between characters, play as different characters in certain situations, new chapters with characters, like being able to replay some of the fights that you play at the end. But the trailer did not give a lot of info. Like there's only like a couple of things that are very specifically new scenes. Like, Naminé's in the trailer, and it's like, okay, she's not in the actual game proper, so now she will be in the story of that. And talking about none of it made sense. Like I didn't know what was happening, and I've played Kingdom Hearts 3, so
it sounds like they might be adding on to the ending a bit, because from what Sora was saying, like he was mentioning Kairi being perhaps lost and him having. So I'm thinking, going back to Radiant Garden would kind of make sense since Kairi was from Radiant Garden.
Fleshing out, like making it maybe a little bit more explicit what happens at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 as well might be the direction they go with it too. I was totally happy with the level of ambiguity that they had before, but we'll see what they add. And then
Oblivion.
Oblivion and Oathkeeper both in there.
Yep, getting a new form, a dark form. I think it was what it was associated with them, with Oblivion. So.
And another form that looked kind of like Final Form as well, which might be
that one was showed off in the original one when they showed off Oathkeeper coming.
Yeah, okay, I missed that then. And a new Tales of Arise trailer just came out today. You were hot and ready for that. I was like,
so ready.
I got the @ in Slack. I'm like, all right. Tales of Arise, I'm in.
This is @worthy.
Yeah.
It's such a pretty game.
I'll have to forward this over to you, Tony, just to catch you up with the Tales of Arise hype. But yeah, I don't know. They did not. It was not like a lot of new footage. It was just mostly like more continuous gameplay, more continuous combat. Looks amazing.
Yes.
Again, like. They're fully embracing like a no more breaks into combat. Like you just encounter things in the world and just fight them, which it feels like Tales has been trying to build to that for a while, and they just haven't gotten there until now. Berseria was close, so
yeah, it's going to be interesting because the new director of the Tales or this Tales game is the same director who does the God Eater series for Bandai Namco.
Yeah, and did he do Berseria?
No, that was still Baba. I want to say.
I think Berseria might have been different, but maybe I'm just thinking producer. But yeah, I don't know. But either way, like they showed a lot of towns in this. Still, I think the last shot, or like one of the last group shots, is of like 2 additional characters. That I haven't gone back and rewatched the trailer to see if I can like make out their face.
In one of the points you see like a thief looking guy like jumping away from gunfire like in between shots, so I almost think that maybe that's one of the new characters as well.
Sure, but still a lot of focus on the man in the mask and the woman with the sword in her chest. Like kind
and Snipper Riffle.
Yeah, so like still really focusing on a lot of the characters we had seen before.
Yeah,
but very much a tease, a light tease, still coming 2020 sometime.
I'm thinking fall.
Yeah,
I could see this maybe being like a summer release in Japan and then fall winter release here.
Yeah. Hopefully not too late.
Yeah.
It would be a real bummer if this game came out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One right after the new consoles come out.
The next Xbox and PS5 come out.
Yeah. In theory, they'll both be backwards compatible, but even still, it would be a real bummer.
Well, Zestiria was both, so I mean they could maybe do that again.
Yeah, but Zestiria was also hurt by being the fact that it was very much a PS3 game.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I had Tales of Arise, just the idea of it, some of the implications of where the story might be going, all very exciting.
Yeah, looks very good. Beautiful, beautiful looking game.
I feel like there weren't a lot of announcements at TGS, at least not necessarily for this show. I think they announced the director of the Danganronpa games. He announced his new game, which I don't remember what it's called. Let me see if I can find out. Did you ever play the Danganronpa game, Scott?
No, I wanted to, but it's in the backlog abyss.
Yeah. Are you a visual novel fan or?
Not hugely, but I've heard really good things about Danganronpa, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll give it a try.
Death March Club, which is both the folks that made Danganronpa and the Zero Escape games. And that's Danganronpa writer Kazukata Kodaka and Zero Escape creator Kotaro Ichikoshi. And it's a 2D action game, Death March Club. So it is not a visual novel. I know. Sounds cool. I didn't hear much past just that in this cursory search about it. But anything like the Danganronpa team moves on to, I'm at the very least interested in. I
guess they announced the first Dragon Quest Monster game is getting a port to Switch from Square Enix.
Oh yeah, and it's
Terry's Wonderland Retro announced for Switch about 2 hours ago.
Okay, and there was one other thing, I'm blanking on it. Oh, they announced the Boo Saga is going to be in Dragon Ball Kakarot, which is great.
Horrible box art, by the way.
Oh, did they release the box art?
Super dull. It's reminiscent of the Marvel Spider-Man logo, where it's just Goku on Nimbus smiling at you with a solid red background.
Oh yeah, that is.
It's really basic.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Kakarot. I know I talked to you and Mike about it, I think, and you guys weren't necessarily in for it, but like, I don't know, the idea of like a Dragon Ball RPG, if done right, I'm way into. Especially if they're adding like the driver's license shit to it.
Yeah, I think it could be really, really cool. And it's one of those games that I'll pick up at some point. I just don't know if I'll pick it up at 60, right? Like day and day.
Yeah, and they're doing it right at least. Of like, they're doing all of Dragon Ball Z as opposed to like ending at Cell or ending at Frieza. They're doing all of it. So yeah. The only other news story I pulled, because I thought this was pretty interesting this month, were the NPDs. Haven't been talking a lot about NPDs in the summer just because not a lot of huge bombshells, but NPDs in August, very interesting. All this information comes from Matt Piscatella. I'm actually just pulling it directly from the source now. His Twitter account, he's at Matt Piscatella, and it's 1 T in Matt. Spells just like it sounds. It should be easy enough to figure it out. He does a little 10-minute or less video for the NPDs every month, and then he just tweets out all the info. If you don't follow him and you're interested in like video game sales numbers, at least the NPD like US based ones at all, I would highly recommend it. Like his little synopsis video, like this month's was 8 minutes. He has a lot of great insights, and obviously like he's been doing this for a very long time, so he just knows a lot and will bring like a kind of historical aspect to it that I always find super interesting. So like specifically for this week, the software sales for August 2019 were the worst software sales for August since 1998, which is crazy.
Damn.
So over 20 years. And keep in mind, software sales were still $257 million worth in the United States in the month of August alone. So still a lot of money, but again, that is like the worst August video game software-wise in 20 years, which is wild. But the numbers that you care about, the best-selling games, big call-out I mentioned earlier, no Control in the top 20 best-selling games at all. Number 1, Madden NFL 20, of course. Number 2, Minecraft. Apparently Minecraft's had like the hottest fucking summer ever. This is the first time it's been in the top 3 in NPDs ever, I think, is what Matt said. And number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is just also selling very well.
It just prints money.
Just prints money. They figured it out. The RP servers, the casino that came out finally, et cetera, they got it on lock. But what I like here is 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10 are all Nintendo published and Switch exclusive, and none of them include digital sales data. That's Fire Emblem, Smash Bros, Mario Maker 2, Mario Kart 8, and Astral Chain. Astral Chain at number 10. Very good.
And Breath of the Wild's at 12.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild's still on the list. And Super Mario Party at 16. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 at 17. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 18. So, like, a lot of Nintendo in the top 20.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 at 17.
Yeah. And Piscatella specifically said the reason the software sales weren't lower was because Nintendo software made up the majority of software sales this month. Which is rad. Nintendo's doing all right, basically.
Switch is the machine of dreams.
Yeah, it's like making all the dreams come true. It's selling really well, and it's giving a lot of indie developers have found a ton of success on it. So it's good vibes all the way around.
And the Lite comes out next week.
Yeah, to think that's probably going to be a huge boon to Switch hardware sales, and it's doing really well. Switch was the best-selling hardware of the month and continues to be the best-selling hardware of the year so far, year to date. So the top 10 for the year now so far in these first 8 months, Mortal Kombat 11, still the best-selling game of the year so far. Kingdom Hearts 3 at number 2, and Madden jumped right to number 3. Anthem, number 5 on that list. 5th best-selling game of 2019. Just remember that.
So many people got sucked into that hype.
Yeah, us included. But not a lot of movement otherwise. It was just like I liked that the total revenue.
Good to see Days Gone there. That surprises me.
Yeah, Days Gone ended up doing really well. It's in the top 20. No, it's not in the top 20. But it's in the top 10 best-selling PlayStation 4 games of August. So it's still kind of
in the top 10 best-selling games year to date too.
Mm-hmm. Which I think speaks to the power of like Sony exclusives. Like they know they've created a brand enough for themselves that they know how to move numbers. I also like Resident Evil 2, number 7, the year-to-date best-selling. Not a lot of other huge stuff. I liked that. I think total video games sales, software, accessories, and everything combined totaled to $666 million for August, which is great. And also, like, weirdly, racing wheels were the best-selling accessory, video game accessory in August. And the takeaways for Minecraft. So this was the highest placement ever in monthly bestsellers for Minecraft, and it's the 13th. Minecraft is the 13th best-selling game of 2019 so far. So it's not in the top 10, but it is like doing incredibly well for itself. And they just announced that like Ultra H, like the 4K patch that they were going to do for Xbox One X for Minecraft is canceled. Like they announced that like a month ago because it was too much. So
Too much power.
Too much power.
Yeah, so basically it's the most, in terms of current gen, the most powerful systems could not do it.
Yep. The 4K update for Minecraft.
That is why.
Yeah.
And like that's probably the dumbest reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to be honest, like if you're going to try to do a 4K ray tracing pack, that thing has to have a graphics card set to do ray tracing.
Yeah.
Which those consoles don't.
Yeah, a lot of people are figuring out that they need a new graphics card because Control's got hella ray tracing on PC, which is cool.
Right. But like going back to the Minecraft thing, it's like you started out knowing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That without the acceleration, it's like not like a feasible thing to put in a game.
Yeah, but 6 teraflops, Scott. Listen, it's got teraflop. No, I know, I get it.
All the best pixels, man.
I've been telling you it's terrible metric.
It's not a good metric, no. Especially like when you start looking at the other like comparison. Anyway,
it's like how gigahertz haven't been super relevant. I forget the year count, but for a while. And it's because it's the way the new architectures work, pushing for that instead of raw numbers in any given field ends up with more performance.
Yeah.
And like the best way to put it is ray tracing is, for most things, a better visual upgrade than 4K to 8K.
Yeah. I've not seen ray tracing in front of me, but I've heard story of it.
It's pretty neato, dude.
I've heard.
It is.
I want to see it.
Super taxing.
Yeah.
Super expensive on the old computer and graphics card.
On the old PC.
Are you?
Yeah, but it's pretty.
Scott Guthier and Tony Horvath, are you? I don't know why I said your last name. Are you both ray tracing capable with your PC setups?
I think so.
Not feasibly,
not
but,
like really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things would happen.
Okay.
Right. So you could probably get something to run on our computers at roughly 30 frames.
Okay.
So you could do ray tracing for something that you would want to look at, but not something you really want to play in.
Got it.
Not something that you would want to give up your high refresh rate over.
Oh yeah, gotta go for frame rate always. And
then, but it's like, yeah, I've popped it open and took a look at it before. I mean, my monitor limits me at this point.
Oh yeah, are you gonna get one of those G-Sync monitors?
I have a G-Sync monitor. It's a 1080p lock resolution. I think that doesn't do. I think it's not 144 hertz.
Okay.
So, even at that point, it's ray tracing at 1080p.
What even's the point? Yeah, I get it. No, I'm just I don't know what I'm saying.
Not really. It's like the difference is huge, but at the same time, you can't really play on it.
Yeah, I get it. A couple other things I appreciate that Minecraft is the third best-selling Xbox One game, second best-selling PS4 game, and the 10th best-selling Switch game. So it is on the chart for all major platforms. Which is like, that's how Minecraft wins. Put it on everything. Don't put GTA 5 on Switch, because then it'll just never stop
It's like
selling.
super hot.
Yeah, it's like super hot. It has to be.
Can you even call yourself a video game platform if you don't have Minecraft and super hot on it? Yeah. I don't think so.
Exactly.
Also, shout out to the developer of Super Hot liking that tweet when I said that.
Yeah. They're on the lookout. They got those Google alerts.
Okay.
You're like, all right.
I didn't mean anything bad by it, but you're kind of whoring out Super Hot is all I'm getting at.
It's all right.
But it's a good game. I like Super Hot, so people should play it.
Go listen to the Video Game Book Club about it.
Yeah, Video Game Book Club.
Yeah, I think that's the general NPD takeaways. No Control on the list. This is a call to action. I need everyone listening to this podcast to go buy Control, including you two,
Super
Scott, Tony, both of you. Buy it. It's a great game. It's got ray tracing. If you got a PC, think about it.
I would still technically need to upgrade my graphics card. if I wanted to like
Right.
play it with me.
What if I told you the control's worth $800? It's probably not actually. Nothing. No one video game is worth $800. That's it for news. We did not get any questions this week, but I'd like to remind everyone, if you'd like to send your questions, you have multiple ways that you can do it. You can tweet us at IrrationalPod. You could send us a voicemail, 404-590-1337. Get a lot of spam calls on the voicemail line, not gonna lie. I don't know if somebody gave our number to some calling people, but please don't. And you can email us, mailsack at irrationalpassions.com.
They figured out how lead it was.
They did figure out how Evan told them that it was indeed lead.
What if it is Evan, dude?
It's fucking Evan giving our number out to these telemarketers.
They haven't figured it out yet. They must know.
If somebody keeps calling the goddamn mailsack hotline telling me about insurance opportunities, I gotta shut it down. All right, we need to get it together. Get a new voice number. It's not Leet, so nobody calls us. If you like this show, you can follow us at IrrationalPod on Twitter, Irrational Passions on Instagram. George is bringing the gram back. He's making it happen. And if you like this show, then there's a couple of things I would ask of you. First of all, you should rate and review us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it now. Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it. You should rate us there, and you should tell your friends about it, because word of mouth is the best way to spread the love. That's a line I haven't said in a while. You should also check out our other shows, like RPG University, which Scott White hosts, and Video Game Book Club, which Scott White also hosts.
We are one game away from our Season 1 being complete, so look forward to that.
Yeah, you guys just finished Vanquish.
Yeah, we just finished Vanquish. Good game. Needs a sequel.
Yeah, Kamiya.
Some Russian robots.
Come on. That's like Platinum's first game, right?
No. Bayonetta came out before it.
Really? Damn.
I think so.
I didn't know that. But yeah, check out both those shows. Input, our other show, currently on hiatus, so hang tight. But maybe go listen to old episodes of Input. And for everything else, irrationalpassions.com is the place to be. You should also follow Scott on Twitter at SolidSnake120. He's a good dude. He'll fly you back.
Okay.
He'll send you good vibes on the Twitter.
It's true.
We've reached the end of the show, gentlemen, which means it's time for bets. I want everyone to know. Waiting for Tony over here.
What?
It's time for bets.
It is. Yes.
But you gotta say the thing.
Nope.
All right. I want everyone to know that I actually did
Bet.
I'm never ready. Every time Scott does it,
Gotcha.
I'm never ready for it. I did the homework. I had the bet ready, and I had the answer for last week's bet already. We're set. This week's bet. Are you ready for bets, Scott? Scott White, I know you like bets, and you and me gotta figure a way to rope the editorial gang into bets more. We're gonna make it happen.
All right, titles.
All right, not yet, Scott. A little ahead of the curve. This week's bet. In the first page of quote-unquote most helpful Steam reviews for Untitled Goose Game, which comes out this coming Friday, how many times in the body of reviews will I see the word goose? Not geese, not gooses. Goose. This is a tough one because I have a feeling it's going to be a lot, but I don't know the breadth at which it will be a lot. And sometimes the most helpful Steam reviews are just people saying yes in the very limited research that I did before this.
So it's in the top rated review?
So the per page of top rated reviews, it's about 8 reviews. And it's in the body text of each review. So not in the title of the reviews or whatever, just the body. How many times will the word goose be used across those first handful of reviews? And these are the quote-unquote most helpful reviews, which is the front page of Steam reviews. So that could be helpful or not helpful. I don't know. It's got geese in it.
I'm going to say 6.
All right. I like it. You saying
1.
that makes me want to change my bet, but I already wrote it down, so I won't. Scott Guthrie says 1. Scott White says 6. Tony?
3.
I said 30. Again, I want to change it, but I wrote it. I'm committed. All right? I'll lock it in. If it's anywhere near 30, I got this. Last week's bet. How many separate times in the Borderlands 3 launch trailer will Claptrap speak? I said 3. Scott said 0. Mike said 4 times. George said once. It was 0. Scott, you had it right on the money. Here's the thing. Claptrap shows up in one shot, and he looks like he's about to speak, and then like a lady like puts her hand on his head and says something, and then it cuts away. And I was fucking livid. I didn't even have a leg in this race, but I wanted George to win. But yeah, Scott, you were right. I fucking knew it, dude. It was like a Queen song edited to the trailer. Anyway, catching up. Team doubling down now at 23 points. Team about to bust a bet, still at 27 points. Now, Scott, your team, which is currently titled Team Super Pink Girl Power, is at 3 points, but every single bet y'all make is worth like 10 points. Seems to go after every week. So we're trying to close the gap. Y'all just got to start winning. But this could be the one.
I'm feeling good.
I like it.
My Scott sense told me it would be 6 or around 6.
Honestly, I think Scott Guthrie has won the most bets of this season. So maybe your Scott sense
is strong with him.
Strong, yeah. I get it.
What is it? Being the carrier of Scott has its power in many things.
Yeah.
It's true.
XCOM and XCOM 2.
Yes. If you name your sniper in XCOM Scott Guthrie, he will only shoot headshots.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just, I don't know.
Proven fact.
Now,
It's like
have
a
you
hack.
tested it with just naming him Scott?
Not yet.
We need to establish
Yeah.
a baseline. Is it the Scott that's doing it or the Guthier?
Who
No,
knows?
it's just always Scott.
It's
Pretty
just
sure it's a combination of both.
It could be both.
But I mean, Scott alone has worked in Tony's Wormworld too.
It's true.
The power of Scott is not to be trifled with, no doubt.
If I remember correctly, my front line in XCOM, the last time I played it, was named Scott's dad. And he never died. He was buff as fuck. So it is canon.
That is only hilarious to people that have met Scott's dad, which is just you and me. Like,
Dude,
and obviously
the only thing Scott's dad ever says to me is like, "Sup, nerd."
It's pretty much all he says to me too. Scott's dad's the coolest. And he looks just Scott White. I want you to get an image in your head. He looks exactly like Hank from Breaking Bad, like almost 1-to-1.
Okay.
Yeah, he does get that a lot.
Yeah, I bet he's not quite as obsessed as Minerals, but
Dude, did your dad secretly star as Hank in Breaking Bad?
We don't know, man. He's got a second life, dude. He's an actor.
Have you ever seen the two of them in the same place at the same time?
I have never.
No, I've never seen both of them in the same place.
All right.
I think you're onto something there, dude.
We've reached the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thanks, everyone who tuned in live and hung out in the chat. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Scott White, for joining us. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, it was a blast. I always like coming on here and chatting nerd stuff with you guys. So
hell yeah. Thank you to Danny Wiesner for opening music of Two Player Co-op and our closing music of The World is Saved. Thank you, Tony and Scott, as always, for being here with me. Nabashin, wherever you are, I hope you got some rest. I'm going to go to sleep immediately after this podcast is over. So, because I've been up for a very long time on very little sleep. But I appreciate each and every one of you as well, and especially my 3 co-hosts this evening. I've been your host, Alex O'Neill. Remember, I love you. Play your games. Stay irrational. We will talk to you all next week. Now, titles. Now you're allowed to title.
Oh, you gotta give me a minute here.
I did put the link in the chat, Tony, so I put it in right after I added Scott. I only wrote down 4. I did my best.
Hold on.
Take your time.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, I already had the doc open.
Yeah, I saw Scott's ready. Do you want him to just read the titles? Do you want me to just take this away from you?
I'm there.
All right. Just make sure.
Hold on. I'm looking at Twitter handles. I think it's higher than the account. All right.
Look at Twitter. Wait, scroll all the way down. What are these show notes? Who reads this?
So I got Sold, a Scott Sandwich, Late Arrivals, and I stopped playing WoW Classic because it's a bad game.
I did not mean to write games.
Hey man, you go ahead and live your life.
It's a bad game.
I'm writing these titles while hosting the show. All right, I'm like leaning in and changing and typing. All right, there's a lot of
hosting the show is hard.
There is a lot. It is not easy, sir. I'm not saying it's hard. I am just saying it is difficult to multitask sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. What do you like, Tony?
Yes.
You gotta get don't do this. Just give me one answer. Just give me one title that you're like, this is the one.
There are only 4, so I can give you 4.
All right. Scott, either or. Just tell me which titles you like.
I like a Scott Sandwich.
I like a Scott Sandwich too.
Because it could only be used when the 2 of us are.
Yeah, it's true. This is like
And then the next time I'm on, we can call it a Scott Sandwich Part 2, the Scottening.
The Scott. This time it's Scott.
Wouldn't it be a breaded Scott?
A breaded Scott? No, but that sounds delicious.
Grilled Scott with cheese.
Yeah, we'll go with a Scott Sandwich.
I like a Scott Sandwich. All right, I'm gonna write. Let me write a thing for you to read, Scott.
Which Scott?
All of the above. For you to read, Scott White. Jesus. See, I can't even type this. I keep writing when I do the notes, I keep writing 340. I'm like, that's not right. That's 100 off. That's not even close. When you're ready, and I'll say the title.
Okay. Me.
I like that vocal warm up.
Oh, thank you. Nothing but the finest. I learned that while dubbing over with a professional voice actor.
Yeah, he showed you the ropes.
Yeah, you know it. You're listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast, episode 440.
A Scott Sandwich. This time, Scotty does know. That was the thing I thought of.
A part of everyone's balanced breakfast.
Oh, Scotty do know actually. I think somebody.
I hate that song so much.
I bet it's totally the worst, and I'm so sorry. I like that song a lot too, but also easy.
It's not the song. The song is fine. It's everybody who sings it.
Yeah, true.
Well, for me, I hate it because the fall after my senior year of high school, my girlfriend at the time had gone up to school and everything, and she broke up with me. And one time, these dudes she was hanging out with or whatever called my phone and left me a message singing "Scotty Doesn't Know" about how they were fucking her over a washing machine.
Jesus. Pitch black. This is some blasphemous levels of dark material right now.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'm sorry, man. See,
it was still pretty raw at the time too, my emotional state. So that was they summoned Meteor on my ass with that one. Emotional media right there. So yeah, that's mostly the reason I don't like Scotty Doesn't Know song.
That's a completely valid reason.
Yeah.
We're also still live, so this will be the little top of the bonus content off for everyone.
There you go. A little peek into my my path.
There at the dark past of Scott White. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night.
Bye.